Welcome, you guys. All right. Hello, everybody. Those of you who are here live, welcome. And those of you who are watching the replay, welcome to the replay. Tonight, we are here on the evening of the full moon. And this is October 1st of 2020 when we're painting live here under the full moon. And tonight is actually the full harvest moon. So it's a perfect time for us to be painting pumpkins. So, harvest time and pumpkin kind of goes nicely together. It's also known as, this is the harvest moon. It's also known as the moon, what is it? The dying grass moon, the dying grass moon, and the travel moon. And because some tribes would be nomadic and they would base their travel on the birds and the patterns of the birds. So if the birds are traveling north or south, that's when they would travel as well. And that's all happening at this time now. You might be kind of seeing that around yourself in nature. Let's see, we've got somebody answering. Let me just let them in. So we're here on our harvest moon. The things that we're going to be using tonight, actually, this is going to be really fun because pumpkins are super, super easy and painting the moon is super easy. So this is just going to be a really fun and relaxing time. And the way I like to look at it is at the end of this lesson or this gathering, we're going to have like a whole pumpkin patch under this full moon. So wherever you are out there in the world or the country, we're all sitting under the full moon, right? At some point, wherever you are, it's full at this time. So we're connected by that right now. So we're going to kind of create this virtual pumpkin patch. All right. And the tools that I'm going to be using are number one by Canvas. I'm going to be using this larger, I think it's a 16 by 20. I never get the measurements quite right, but that's what I'm going to be using tonight. And we're going to be painting something very similar to this. Okay. And the paint colors that we're going to be using are black and white. Because anytime you paint, you always want to have black and white. It's like having salt and pepper when you cook. We're also going to use a darker blue, like a cobalt blue, an ultramarine blue, and some magenta, potentially. This is what I'm going to be painting with. But if you're not vibing with whatever I'm painting with, you choose your own colors. Then I'm going to be painting with yellow and red and orange. Now, if you don't have orange, don't panic because you can mix yellow and red with a little bit of white and make a nice organic orange. Okay, so it's all good. I may actually use a little bit of brown for my stem and maybe even a little bit of gold. We'll see how we're feeling. So that's kind of where I'm starting. Does anybody have any questions about the tools or anything yet at this point before I move on to brushes and such? Any paint questions? Yeah, Liam.
Well, it's not really a paint question, but where does the drumming come in?
Where does the what?
Not really a paint question, but where does the drumming come in?
Oh, thank you so much. Because, I didn't necessarily advertise this as a full moon painting and drumming thing, but it's so perfect because I know many of you guys that are out there are ones that take this time of night or this day on the calendar, this time of the full moon, that often we drum together. We haven't been doing that lately, but I encourage you, as we are here together, if you have your drum handy, to just kind of sit and watch people paint and drum and connect yourself to the moon. This full moon, spiritually, from a spiritual standpoint, this is a time of letting go and purging and cleansing yourself of what doesn't serve you. Maybe it's something that you've outgrown. Maybe it's something that you've been carrying around for Lord knows how long, and it just, doesn't help you. This is time to let that go. So dive into that purging, release stuff as you are painting and as you're drumming. Okay, so I invite you guys to grab your drums. And of course, let's stay on mute, even if you're drumming. Just know we're going to see your drumming motion. We won't be able to hear you because then things get wonky on Zoom. But just know that we're all connected. All right. Yeah, thanks for reminding me, Liam. I was so like, let's paint, and was gonna just charge right ahead and not even ask, so or mention the drumming. So I appreciate that. And if you guys have questions, you don't need to raise your hand. You can just unmute yourself and yell, "Hey, lady," and I will answer your questions to the best of my ability. Okay. So tonight I'm going to be using probably kind of a round brush. This is about like a 1-inch, half to 1-inch brush. And again, this really depends on the size of your canvas. So just because I'm using a big brush, you might not need to if you're using a smaller brush. But I'm also going to probably use this flat edged brush. I'll be using this round brush for the details at the end. So this gives us a little bit more of a fine detail. And no rules here. This is just what I'm choosing. So, you know, we have all these different shapes and sizes of brushes available to us. So just use whatever feels comfortable or what your intuition tells you to use. I'm also going to be using this slanted brush this evening. And then for fun, we're going to be using either an old toothbrush, something really stiff, maybe an old crusty brush, maybe a stippling brush like this one. And let me let Yesenia in the classroom. Okay, because we're going to be doing some stippling with this. So this is like a stippling brush. But like I said, you can use an old paintbrush or, you know, just something that's a little bit more stiff. We're going to start our painting this evening by sketching our moon and sketching our pumpkin. So typically I would use for this, I like to use a piece of charcoal, of artist charcoal, or just a pencil. Whatever you have handy is just fine. I typically like to use charcoal because it sort of gets a little messy in with the paint. So you get this like charcoal and paint mix, and it puts this nice kind of shade in there. So I'm not sure. I'm going to try sketching with that. If it doesn't work, then I'm going to go ahead and use a marker or a paint pen just because I want you guys to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, so trial and error here. I'm just going to kind of go with it. And then, of course, I have my rinse water and a palette. For those of you who are new to painting, a palette is just simply something that you're going to put your paint on. Okay. Any questions before we get started with our sketching? Just unmute yourself if you have questions or comments or anything. This evening I'm hanging on to my labradorite. This is a beautiful crystal. And it's pretty funny because when I grabbed this, I didn't know that they referred to tonight's moon as the traveler's moon at times. And this is definitely a traveling stone. This is a stone of connection and keeping people safe as they're journeying. So I love that. But this is what's calling me to me tonight. I usually like to have some kind of crystal here with my paints and my canvas. So, all right, let's get started. So you guys have a choice to make right off the bat. Which direction do you want your canvas to go? So you can either do a horizontal landscape, or you can do a portrait up and down. So just give some thought to which direction you want it to go. This evening I'm going to do the landscape here because I want it to. I'm going to kind of try to just mimic this painting that I had done earlier. And this is just such a good lesson because once you learn, you know, the little steps in terms of making this pumpkin, then you can just make like pumpkins and pumpkins and pumpkins. Okay. So my first decision here is where's my moon going to be and how big is it going to be? So I've got a dinner plate and I'm just going to trace around this. Once I find the placement of my moon, I think I want to have it like just kind of right up here because I'm going to have a ring going around my moon. So I want to have some room for that. You'll lower it a little bit. Lowering your moon gives it kind of an eerie-ish, you know, vibe. All right, I'm going to try it with charcoal. Well, I think that's going to work just fine. So if you're using a pen or a pencil, colored pencil, regular pencil, whatever, can you guys see that okay? Or should I use Should I try using a paint pen? Can you guys see this okay? Like, can you see okay? Give me a thumbs up, or is it, okay, those are good, okay. So weird because I'm looking at it in the screen here and I see my face and a big nothing on the canvas. So if I'm doing something and you can't see it, please speak up because I can use something darker. All right, so this is going to be my moon. That's pretty big. So just put a circle down wherever your moon is going to go. Now we're going to kind of stay step by step at this stage before we all kind of just go rogue. Next step is we're going to put in our pumpkin. And we're just going to put in a general pumpkin shape, okay? So I like to just sort of loosely hold my pencil and draw kind of a circle. I know that I want this to go off the canvas a little bit. So we're going to draw our circle, and then we're going to draw sort of, I guess it's like a fancy V, or it could look like a seagull flying in the background. Okay, I'm going to bring this a little bit closer for you to see what I did here. And this is what we want to have on our canvas. This is kind of the root. If you can remember to do this, this is the foundation of every pumpkin that you'll ever do, whether it's drawing or painting, okay? Just kind of scan here. Does anybody want, if anybody wants me to slow down, please put your thumb up. I just want to make sure that I'm not making anybody feel rushed. Angela, am I going okay? Okay, D'Angelo, you want me to slow down a little? Okay, yeah. Just take your time, guys. It's all good. Now, we're going to try to stay together for the first part of this lesson. And then we're going to get to a point where everybody's going to be at a different stage and it's all groovy. But I do want to stay together at this stage because this is just the foundational lesson of putting the pumpkin together. Okay. So if you're ahead of me or if you're waiting, take this time to get yourself a cup of tea or just chillax. Enjoy the moon, maybe drum a little bit, ask questions. Okay. So again, we've got our moon shape. And then we've got a pumpkin shape here. And look at these. This is like pretty nice and round. We used a guide, right, to make a nice circle. And this isn't so nice and perfect as a circle. This is a pumpkin, it's like pumpkins are all different. They come in all different shapes and sizes, and they're never really perfectly round. They're always a little bit of wonky, so it's all good. So we want to have our pumpkin in there, and then we want to have this little V shape at the top. Okay. If you need me to wait a little bit, please give me a thumbs up. If not, I'm going to go ahead with the next part of this pumpkin building. Liz, are you good? Is it okay to move on? Or should I wait? Okay, guys. The next step here is, so this basically, the reason we put this little V here, this is the stem. So to figure out which, I want my stem to probably go this direction because on the other painting, where did it go? I like how the stem is there and then you have leaves that kind of, come out. So that kind of helps you figure out which direction do you want your stem to go. Maybe it's straight up and down. Or maybe it's right or left. You guys figure it out. Maybe it's curly Q. But I'm going to start with that. All right. I'm going to bring that a little bit closer for you to see. And you don't have to be perfect, because think about the stems that you see on a pumpkin. When you go to the pumpkin patch, they are like wonky as all get out. So we're just going to put our stem on there. Now the next step, you see these points on this V. We're going to start on this left point, and we're going to follow the curvature of the pumpkin. So kind of watch this. I'm going to start right here, and I'm just going to draw a nice, doesn't have to be perfect, but it kind of lines up with the edge of the pumpkin. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I have to envision where it is. It's like, probably about like that, right? And this one, you could make it go straight up and down, but it gives it a little bit more of a form if you do just a smidge of a curve. Okay? So those are our starting edges. And then from these edges here, kind of drag down like that. And these can get a little bit more wonky even. But these are just our bones. Okay, I'm going to leave that pumpkin there for a couple of minutes so that you have plenty of time. It doesn't have to look just like my pumpkin. Oh, I just said pumpkin. That's what my grandma used to call me, pumpkin instead of pumpkin. Your pumpkin and my pumpkin, they're going to look different, okay? So yours could be a totally different shape. And these back little bulby things, you don't have to worry a whole lot about them looking super perfect at this point, because we're going to transform this sketch into a beautifully painted pumpkin. Okay, these are just our bones. And for those of you who are ready to move on, I'm not going to move on just yet, but the next step is going to be putting down a little bit of black on our palette, a little bit of blue, and a little bit of magenta. And a lot more blue than black. Black's like really, really, really heavy. So we use black mostly for like shading. I'm going to be using a lot of blue and then using the black to make my blue a little bit darker. And I always like the combination of blue and magenta in terms of really any kind of background, whether you mix it with black or white. I really like that color combination. It just gives some good depth. And I especially like the thought of putting the magenta into the night sky right now with all the fires going on in California. It brings a little bit of that pink to the sky. All right. So has everybody got their lines down on their pumpkin? If not, please unmute yourself and holler at me. If I don't hear you guys, then I'm going to move on with the painting here. Okay. And this is a level or step where we're all going to kind of be at different steps here. So, if you're a little behind or a little ahead, it's all good. So what I'm going to do is start mixing my blue and my magenta, mostly blue with a little bit of magenta. It makes it kind of a purpley. It makes it darker already. And then I'm going to do like a smidge of black in there. So, I don't know if you can see that. Any kind of blackish, bluish, dark color that looks good to you. You may want more blue, you may want more black. You may not know until you get it down on the canvas. But we're just going to start painting our background. So at this stage, we're not really painting the moon yet. We're not painting the pumpkin yet. We're just painting the background. So have fun with this. Have fun with mixing your colors to create your sky. Have fun with, just playing around with how the paint flows on the canvas. You might want to try watering your paint down a little bit or making it thicker. Just playing around. I always enjoy painting the paint off of my canvas. So rather than continuing to dip and dip and dip over and over, getting lots of globs on my brush, I like to continually clean it as I am painting. So you can see here, kind of scrubbing that off. Now, if we go over the lines here, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to be all perfect about it. Because this is just the first layer. But you do want to pretty much, come close to the lines that are on your sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. And with the background, we're going to be doing some directional painting this evening, and I'll explain that. But for the background, we're not really painting directionally. We don't want to see our brush marks and our strokes so much. We want to see more cloudy, misty, so you can try circular painting, smudging the paint on the canvas, whatever feels right. And you see here, I've got my blue is a little bit darker right there because I just dipped my brush heavily in the blue. And that's perfectly fine because our sky doesn't have to be perfectly the same color. Gives it more interest if it's, if it has some layers and stuff going on in there. And again, I'm just using the magenta and a darker blue with a little bit of black. And don't forget about the edges of your canvas. Sometimes if I start to see areas that are getting really kind of too strokey looking, I'll just use my hands. Sort of sear it in there. Feels good to do that, to use our hands to be somewhat primitive on the night of a full moon. Feels like there's a little bit of extra energy that goes into your painting when you practice with your fingers that way. Like I said, I'm using a fairly large canvas here, so depending on the size of canvas you're using, you may find yourself waiting on me. And if that's the case, enjoy that moment, enjoy that time. Do you have any questions? Again, feel free. Let's see, I got a little bit of magenta there. It makes it look nice and purple. There's just something about that. Having some magenta and blue brings in that purple vibe and just really brings in like the magic, maybe in the royal feeling and a little bit of maybe spookiness to a night sky, you know? And you can make your sky any color you want it to be. I mean, maybe you choose a day sky, a light blue sky, blue sky. Maybe you choose an orange sky or green sky. I mean, it's all good. Got a lot of purple going on here, so I'm going to get a little bit more blue on my palette here in a minute. I'm just trying to get all of this covered.
How do you make yours so light? Mine's like really dark. I use pretty much the same color that you did.
Let me see yours.
Um,
Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so what colors are you using?
I'm using the same colors as you are, like the magenta, brilliant blue, and black.
Okay, I think you probably just put more black in yours than I did.
I barely use any black.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah.
how heavy of a paint are you using? Is it
Really heavy.
really heavy? It's
Mhm.
really heavy?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably it. Because I paint with a pretty light brush. Let me try putting a little bit of a heavier down and see what happens here. Yeah, see how that gets darker all right away?
Yeah, that's kind of my look.
Thick paint right there. So for this section here with thick paint, I could probably spread this out a lot. And that doesn't mean, Liam, that you did it wrong by any means. It's just that's your style right now at this moment. That's how you're painting at this moment. But it's a good question, right? Or a good something to look at, because what if you do want it to be lighter? Now we know it's like, okay, your paint was really thick in that moment, but maybe you want that really thick, dark, spacey looking sky. Because when you show me your painting, it certainly doesn't look bad by any means. I like the vibe you've got going. Does that answer your question, Liam?
Yep, perfectly.
Awesome. All right, so for me, oh gosh, do I like that purple and that blue together? I think I might kind of like that. I'm gonna bring some of this purple down into the blue, and then I'll bring some blue up into the purple. So this is a really good example of not knowing exactly what's going to pop up on the canvas. I have somewhat of a plan, but I don't have, I don't have a perfect plan. There is no perfect plan. A lot of, doing anything creative is just following your intuition in that moment. All right, I need a little more blue on my palette, and then I'll be done with my background here in a second. Questions, you guys, let me know. It's kind of fun, Liam. Now I've got more paint on here than I usually do. And this is different for me. I like that. You're making me learn. You're making me try something new. This is the perfect time, you guys, to be like, not just the full moon. I mean, that's a great time to dive into something new and try something new, but just this time that we're living in right now, this time of COVID, quarantine, and a huge change, just everything's wonky right now. And the good thing about that is this is a really good time to try all different kinds of new things. This is a good time to, reinvent yourself in different parts of your life. Give yourself a fine tuning. So, although things are, really uncertain and a little wonky, it's okay, because you can use some of that to your benefit. Jump into the change. All right, I'm going to leave my sky like that. I am not super happy with it. So I might come back and touch it up, but at least that gives us somewhat of an outline or, somewhat of a background, I'm sorry. But for teaching purposes, I want to move on. I don't feel like you'd have to be caught up with me at this time because we're still working on the background here. And we're going to continue once you've got your background down. We're going to just use a real dry brush with exactly the same colors that we put on our moon, on our sky. We're going to use these same colors and just sort of put some little topography on your moon. There's no right or wrong, just kind of do whatever feels right. We're going to be covering this up, so don't worry about it. These are craters. Wherever you think there might be craters in your moon, just lightly paint them in. And we're doing this now because it's going to give this a chance to dry. Like I said, we're going to paint over this in a minute. But we also have these colors on our palette that are wet right now, so we're going to use that while we can. Okay. So we've got our background going and we've got our moon crater going. And I asked, for these, we wanted to kind of have these done with light paint. So like Liam had, his paint was really heavy in that one part. This part, we want to really make sure that it's not heavy. We want to make sure it's just a dusting because otherwise we're going to lose its shape when we come over with the white. Okay. So while this is drying, we're going to get our white on our canvas. And I'm going to take a break here. I'm going to paint the stem with white is what I'm doing next. And then we're going to take a break for everybody to kind of catch up and ask questions. So I'm getting white on my canvas. I'm going to paint my whole stem area white. This is going to kind of turn to gray here because it's dragging through that charcoal. You may not like that. This is something to kind of see. It's like, oh, do I like this kind of tool or do I not with painting? I love it because it gives it like natural shading. It's like presto changeo, it's perfect. But the reason we're putting the white down on here right now is because later we want our paint to really pop on here. So the white background, anytime you really want something to kind of have a pop or a highlight to it, or pick up the paint color more, white is kind of what you want to go to as a foundation or to potentially add as a highlight. Okay. So we've got our background sky, we've got our moon, got our pumpkin drawn out here. And we've got our craters lightly painted onto the moon. And we have our stem painted white. Okay. If anybody needs me to answer any questions or slow down, please speak up for yourself.
Slow down a little bit. I'm still in my background.
Oh, gotcha. No problemo. And you don't have to be completely caught up with us, Liam, because we're going to move. We're going to do our moon, and we're going to do our pumpkin. So we're going to be at stages. But I don't want to leave you too far behind. So I'm going to grab some water. If anybody else needs to do that, go for it. And I can still hear you. So if anybody else has questions, just say so. Oh, I know what I need to do. In the chat room, I have this little cut and paste. Oh, Sherry says, love the purple sky side. Reminds me of Halloween sky. Yay, thanks for that, Sherry, because that was the part that I was personally feeling insecure about. So I appreciate you saying that. Always nice to have view something from somebody else's point of view rather than your own, because we're always like really hard on ourselves, you know, or we can be. So thank you. I just put in the chat there all my contact information. If anybody is looking for that, all the places that you can find me. Hey, D'Angelo, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Yeah. What
Mhm.
stage are you at so far?
I'm at like the kind of coloring the background stage.
Okay, great. So for those of you who might be feeling like
Your camera's off.
you're gonna go ahead and like, oh, she's getting pretty far ahead of me, don't worry, because
On or off?
until 9 o'clock, so we still have an hour and a half. Plus, I'm recording this, and tomorrow morning this is gonna go up, so you can watch this lesson over and over again as much as you want, and you can save that. So it's all good. All right. You know, D'Angelo is an artist as well. He does a lot of cartooning and sketching. He's very talented. D'Angelo, how's your mama doing?
She's doing good.
Yeah, is she pretty caught up with me?
Yeah.
How do I? Yeah.
Hi, Gabby.
Yeah, I'm caught up.
All right. Great. We've got Avery and Liz. Hi, Noemi. We've got Angela. Yay, you guys just know that you this is a safe place. So any questions, anything, let me know. And Joni, yay. Is Marky painting this evening? I don't know. He must not be. I'm gonna try to unmute you, okay, Joni? Come on, it's not letting me. Oh, there we go.
Yeah, he's just watching.
Oh, he's just watching.
Yeah.
Why did I want to say Peter, pumpkin eater, watching this? He's gonna get the itch to do a pumpkin though. You know that, right?
Yeah.
I can imagine you guys doing pumpkins with little black kitties sitting on them. Well, thanks for being here. All right, guys, so I'm gonna move on and not leave you behind, so just keep going at your own pace. We're gonna help each other through this. I'm gonna paint my moon white. And so I've got just a little bit of white paint on my palette, and I usually like to kind of start around the outline and just get that circle going, and I keep my painting or my brush going, turn it over until I lose most of the paint. So I'm dragging that pencil mark, that charcoal mark as I'm painting. And I like to get the outline done first, just because, I don't know, it makes me feel more comfortable. But, you do you, it's all good. Okay, so I've got my little outline here. I need more white paint. And this is where I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about directional painting. We don't really need to worry so much about the direction when we're painting, like a background, something that's in, far out there, far away. But for something that might be round or somewhat round, it's nice to give thought to the roundness, to the shape of that in which you're painting. So rather than going up and down or back and forth, I'm just taking kind of a light brush and just going over and over in circles. And what happens when you naturally do that, and again here I'm going to continue to just drag this brush until it's dried off of paint. This is that dry brush method again, because that's going to give us that transparency, so we're going to be able to see those craters. but this is also going to give us kind of a natural shape as we're doing this. Raquel, I just had a glimpse of you looking a little confused. Are you good?
I'm fine. Jason was telling me there's a cat fight out front. He's going to go break it up.
Oh no.
That's why I was looking weird.
Oh, okay, good. I just must have looked at you right at that time. Your hair looks cute, by the way.
No, thanks. I feel human again.
Okay, so we don't want to put too much white on here, but we do want to kind of continue to smooth things out a little bit so that it's not super stripy looking. We want to do a little bit of blending. So it is important that before you really get into doing this white moon part, that your craters are fairly dry. If they're not dry, it's all good. Just wait, and you can come back to painting your moon in a few minutes. You can move on and do your pumpkin first. Now I'm choosing to use a little bit of yellow at this stage, and I want to just put a little bit of yellow in with my white because I want to give my moon like a glowy look. And I want to use a pretty light hand here. And if I do get too heavy-handed, I can always just go back over it with white paint. So I'm just going to kind of smear this again using that directional method. Okay, so we're doing a round. We're not doing a perfect sphere, or working about with shading so much here. But we're painting a circle, so let's honor that circle. You may even want to give thought to like the moon tonight, this is a releasing moon, a purging moon. So you might want to choose to go counterclockwise in your motion with your painting, because that is typically the direction that you would go to release things. So if you have things that are weighing you down, let's just paint that out in our full moon. And then the things that you want to bring into your life, paint those clockwise. Okay, so just giving some nice little intention there. I'm going to add a little bit more white, a little bit, because I don't want to cover up my craters completely.
Karen,
Yeah,
so my craters are gone. So
that's okay.
do I just?
Yeah, put another layer of craters. If you guys lose your craters, then just put another layer in, and then let it really dry, and then do it again in a bit. Okay, so
I think I did the white too thick. So okay.
what is that?
I did the white too thick.
Too thick. Okay, and if it's super wet, you could always take a rag and wipe some of that off too.
Okay.
That might actually give you a really neat effect. That might give you a really beautiful moon.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll try. Thanks.
Yeah. Okay, so I just put a little white there. The next thing I wanted to do with this moon is put like a little bit of a ring around it. So I'm just going to kind of imagine where that circle goes. I like a nice haloed moon. There's something very whimsical about that. Very kind of spooky, Halloweeny, October fallish. This harvest moon that we're painting under at the moment is our first full moon of fall. And this month we actually have another full moon on October 31st, and that's a blue moon. But this is our first fall moon of the year. I'm going to use a little bit of my magenta in my blue in this circle, or this ring around my moon that I'm putting down. Haley, are you still out there? I hope I didn't lose her. Ew.
Hi, Mom. We're still here.
Hey, you're there still.
Sorry, we have it plugged into the TV, so we can't, like, we have to get up and unmute it. That's why we've been so quiet, but.
Well, while you're up, why don't you see who needs something?
What?
So while you're up, why don't you see if anybody needs this?
Oh no, we're all good. We're good.
Everyone's doing great.
Just peachy.
Just peachy over here.
Can I see what you guys are painting? Can you hold them up? And then Haley, say something so we can all see you guys.
On the moon.
So if you say something so it highlights you.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it's highlighting us or not, but this is mine so far.
That's good. I see the one in the back.
Oh, hold it down a little more. Right there.
I'll hold mine up. Mine's sick.
Then cats
Dude, mine's dying.
and
You're
Jacobs.
doing a lot better this week.
Very good, you guys. Beautiful pumpkins from Monterey.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah, I'm just glad you guys are still here.
I'm gonna go back on mute. I love you.
Alrighty, love you. All right, so I'm kind of liking that ring. Let me bring this up a little closer for you guys to see what's going on here. So we have our dark background. We have a little white stem going on here. We've got our craters, and then the white over that, and then a little bit of the white around the ring of the moon. Okay. And remember that directional painting. We're going to use that directional painting as well when we paint our pumpkin here. So I'm going to get started on that. If you have questions, just let me know. We can always jump back. But to do our pumpkin, we're going to start with orange. So I'm going to put some orange and yellow and red on my canvas right now. Not on my canvas, on my palette, I'm sorry. And if you don't have orange that's in a bottle at the moment, you can mix red and yellow. And if you're doing that, let me know, I can help you if you need help. But the advice there, if you're ever trying to make orange with red and yellow, is to use a lot of yellow and a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of red. And then you'll get some nice orange. And then if you put a little bit of white with it, it'll kind of brighten it up. But red is such a strong color. You don't need very much of it. And yellow's a weaker color. So, all right, so to do our pumpkin, we're going to focus on those directional lines again. And we have these sections in our pumpkin. So we're going to just start with orange. Like I said, I've got some red, some orange, and some yellow, and some white here on the side always. But I'm going to just start with the bottled orange. I'm going to choose this section. And I'm going to not cover the lines so much because I want to be able to still use my lines for guidance, I guess. So just kind of butting up against that line. And we just want to drag some orange into each of these sections. And again, you can use that scrubbing method here. Because think about the sides of a pumpkin, they're certainly not perfectly smooth. It's not like the side of a, like say an egg or say the skin of an apple, that's very smooth. Whereas these pumpkins are kind of bumpy and lumpy and funky. And so it really kind of gives you some freedom to not have to worry about, being perfect. Just get your color down there, scrub the color in. And again, here, this orange, we don't want it to be super, super heavy because next we're going to put in some yellow and some red over this orange. So we're wanting to keep our paint kind of light, not too heavy. spread it out with every little part of that section. A bit of, you can see these little dirty marks that are showing up. That's that charcoal. I like using that on pumpkins and painting with pumpkins and using this kind of dirty charcoal smudging that just naturally happens because, you know, pumpkins they're not just orange. They're like, I don't know, they're all smudged up and dark and light and warts. I'm going to turn my canvas and make sure I get the sides as well, because part of what's going to make this painting so cool and whimsical for me is having this painting kind of fall off the canvas. I really like that look. It gives it a very finished look as well. I'm going to move to a little bit of a smaller brush because this little section back here and here, those are getting smaller. And I don't want to go out of the lines too crazily. Another thing that looks really cool, I think, with you know, putting a pumpkin in a night sky is we've kind of got those complementary or opposite colors going on here. And anytime you put colors that are somewhat opposite each other on the color wheel, and you put them together, you get that nice kind of pop. So you see that happening here with the purple and the orange. All right, so that's where we are after just dragging some orange through our pumpkin. And that's really kind of looking all pretty good already, don't you think? Can't really go wrong with the pumpkin. And even if you did paint like a super, super ugly pumpkin, it's like I bought one just the other day because I figured nobody else was going to buy it. It was like the Charlie Brown pumpkin. So I didn't want somebody else to not buy it. Anyway, I love it because it's so wonky and different, and it has warts all over it. And so what if that's the one that you paint tonight? What if you have this really crazy looking pumpkin? Own it. It's all good. Stop here for questions, comments, if anybody's feeling frustrated or needs any advice. Hello, Iris's family, with all you cutie patooties in there. All right. I'm going to move on with my pumpkin. So I have my orange down. So next I'm going to put in some yellow. So here's the thing. We have our orange pumpkin. Now to make this look like a fancy schmancy pumpkin, all we have to do is take yellow and drag it from top to bottom. And then we're going to take dark, like a red, and bring it from bottom to top. So we're putting in highlights and lowlights. Super, super easy. Let me show you. I'm taking, this is kind of a smaller brush than I was using before because I don't want to completely cover my orange. I'm adding to my orange and spreading with it. But I'm going to use this angled brush here because this is going to give me some kind of straight lines. And we want to be paying attention, again, to that direction. If we were really creating a pumpkin out of thin air, think about the directions that you would paint to create that pumpkin. So I'm going to take this yellow, starting right up at the top of the stem, and I'm just going to go one section at a time. I'll just drag a little bit of yellow in. So you see I'm not covering it. I'm not covering the orange with the yellow completely, but I am adding the yellow here. And I'm doing it at the top of the pumpkin because any light that's coming from the moon would be shining down on the top of the pumpkin, not the bottom of the pumpkin. The shadows are going to be at the bottom. And again, you don't have to make this all solid. It can be kind of stripy, kind of wispy, just like a pumpkin is. Just pull that color through. A little bit more yellow down the side because it's facing the moon. So that moon is shining down here. It's gonna get some yellow on here, isn't it? And if that doesn't make any sense to you and you're like, what is she talking about? That's like over my head. Then just don't worry about it. Just play with some yellow and some orange and it's going to look beautiful. Now you can see I'm starting to kind of cover up my line here. And that's okay because I know it's there, but I'm going to take some charcoal and just draw that line back in here just because that makes my brain feel happy. It gives me a little bit of anxiety relief. I'm just going to redraw my lines halfway through my painting of the pumpkin here. My brain is happy when it's seeing that kind of pumpkin border coming into play. This is the start of it all. Remember that little stem V thing we started with? That's really the root of the pumpkin. That's where all these little sections grow from. And the stem is, connects it to Mother Earth. That's probably right. So perfect. All right. A little bit more orange in here since I still have it on my brush and it's for my palette and it's still wet. So this is really just a matter of kind of putting down orange and yellow, and then a little bit more orange, maybe a little more yellow. Smearing that line. If you don't have something that's smearing, we can add that in with black paint as well. All right, so I'm going to take a little bit of red now. So like I did that with the yellow, we came down with the yellow. Now I'm going to go up with the red. Because this is more of a, shadowed color. And like I said, red is really, really strong. It's a strong color. So we don't have to have a lot going on. I just put a little bit of water on my brush along with the red to make it spread a little bit more equally. And again, we're using that directional painting. So we just start from the bottom and kind of follow the curvature of that particular section. Red. Dip my brush again. So if you're ever feeling like, oh gosh, that's a really heavy color and it's covering everything and it's too much, just dip your paint or your brush in some water and just kind of water it down a little bit. It's all good. Everything can be changed very easily. I'm liking that orange or the red on there. I'm going to bring in a little more yellow. Pop.
Karen,
Yeah.
sorry, I missed. What did you do your lines with? Is that brown?
Oh, I just used, what? Oh my God, that's the second time. I just used the charcoal that I had originally used to sketch out. But if you don't have, this is a charcoal that I was using, and that's a real powdery kind of thing. That's why it's smudging. If you don't have charcoal, you can use a pencil. If you don't have a pencil, use a marker. It's all good. Because, you know, at the end, if you want some darker lines, we're going to just kind of touch everything up at the very, very, very end. So you can always draw those in later if you want to.
I use pencil, but it's disappearing with the paint. So.
It's disappearing. Okay.
What? And you used red at the bottom.
Yeah, so I did the first, I started with the whole orange, and then I just took yellow. We start at the top, and you just drag it down each section. And then you do the same thing with red. What's that?
I did the. You froze up for a second. Sorry. I did the orange and the yellow. I just didn't know about the bottom. So you used red on the. Okay.
Yeah. You know what? And you can even, it's exactly the same thing, but like you did with the yellow, but then we're just going to do it on the bottom and bring the red up. Or if your brain has a hard time with that, turn your pumpkin upside down and just do it from the top down again. This will help you kind of disengage your brain a little bit, you know, if you're kind of getting, I'm not saying you are, Raquel, I'm just saying if anybody out there, you know, wants to try that. It helps you let go a little bit. Did I answer your question, Raquel, or did I confuse you more?
No, yeah,
Good.
you did. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we've got our yellow coming down from the top, our red going down up from the bottom. Feeling like the red is very dominant right now. I want to put a little bit more yellow in here, and there. Sort of smudge it in, and then I'm going to put some more orange in. So really, you just get to keep playing with your pumpkin until it looks like it's, you know, how you want it to be. It's a lot of fun with the blending and merging of colors, getting to know that shape of a pumpkin, giving thought to the moonlight shining down on the pumpkin. You know, it's a fun process. And just know it's going to be pretty when it's done. It's all good. Oops. So I'm going to drag some more orange through this red. It's feeling like it was turning into more of a red pumpkin than an orange pumpkin. Yeah, for some reason, this charcoal really smeared a lot tonight on me. I don't usually, I think I used the softer piece of charcoal tonight than I usually use. So. All right, I'm liking that for now. The last little part of the orange pumpkin is to bring in a smidge of white. And just sort of drag it in there where the moon would potentially shine down. Just here and there. We're going to be putting leaves on in a bit, so don't you worry. Any, you know, little weird blips or something, you can always cover it up with a leaf or a vine. All good. Hey, Marky and Joni, did you guys see that on Friday, October 16th, we're going to do a bee painting party?
Yes, I saw that.
Yes, I was thinking about you guys when I was putting that together. So for those of you guys who want to join us, we're going to be learning to paint a honeybee on Friday, October 16th at 7 o'clock p.m. Another fun lesson. All right, so bringing that white in there, just to give it highlights here and there. All right, that's looking pretty good. So the next step could be to do the stem. We should probably take some orange on here too, because that's not completely covered. So we'll fix that. All right, so my stem, I'm going to, well, here's the thing. You can use brown just right out of the bottle, or gold, brown or gold. That combination is really nice. But if you don't have that, you can create like a muddy color by just kind of taking some, really opposite colors. There's like you could take, what would you take here? Probably the orange and the, well, yeah, the orange and the blue, or the orange and the magenta. That would make like a nice brown color. So opposite colors, if you mix them together in one concoction, it does kind of turn to a muddy color. So that's always a nice way to get brown if you don't have it out of the bottle. And if you do have it out of the bottle, then you can do that. So I'm just going to use a regular kind of dark brown. And I'm choosing to use the dark brown because I have yellow and I have white, and I can use those two colors to create other lighter colors of brown. Okay. So let's just get some brown down here first. And I'm not going to change my brush. I'm still using this slanted straight edge. And remember, we painted this stem white earlier because I really wanted this brown to pop out like this once we laid it down. If we were to paint this brown right on top of the purple background, it's going to get lost. So we use that white as a foundation to really get this brown color going. I'll put a little bit of white in there. So really the stem is just all about kind of mixing a couple colors in there and using that direction again and kind of creating that stem. How's that going to grow? You know how they're always kind of dried out and they have those ridges and lines in them. You could even take the back of your brush and kind of drag it through your paint or your paint there if you wanted to, and it creates these little lines. I'll show you. I don't know if you can see that. So just by dragging end of your paintbrush, you can put a little bit of texture in that way too.
Sorry, but we completely missed the stem.
Which one?
The stem?
Oh, the stem. It's all good. So I just am putting white and brown. Putting down a brown stem as a foundation and then dragging a little bit of white or a little bit of yellow through it. So you're just kind of filling in that little section, that form that you have on your canvas, and creating your stem, however that is. You might want to use a lot of texture here on your brush and let that paint be wet and dry, with ridges in it, because we're not really going to do much else with the stem. We're going to put leaves on it, but if you want to make a nice pinky stem, you can go for it. just kind of a combination of brown and yellow and white. Just giving it a little bit of color. This makes me look too at this, that I think I need a little bit more highlight here. This part of the pumpkin's gonna be basking in that moonlight, whereas this side of the pumpkin's gonna be a little bit more shaded from it. So I'm gonna bring in a little highlights here. Feeling like it needs a little bit more of that. A little bit more of an edge here on the side of the stem that faces the moon. Maybe a little bit more brown back here. Just play with the stem. I mean, there's no two stems that are even close to being alike. So it's all good. Drag a little bit of that brown down into my pumpkin too. Not much, just a little bit here and there. All right. So, does anybody have any questions? Everybody looks like they're nice and busy. Hi, little guy, how you doing? You want to show me what you were doing? Iris, your kids are so cute. I would love to see their work.
Thank
Again.
This is Iris.
Oh, hi, Iris. Oh, so pretty. Can you hold it up real close? That's so good. Look at your moon. And that beautiful pumpkin.
She's enjoying mix different colors.
Yes, yes. You can make tons of colors. You can make colors to infinity and beyond. Did your brother make something?
Yes, he did on the board.
Oh, I see. Well, very good. I'm glad to see you guys.
So good to see you.
Yes, I know. I remember your owls that you painted were so pretty.
Yeah. Look at this.
Let's see.
Oh, can you see?
Oh, how sweet. Well, I can see him.
He did some raindrops with
Oh,
different
I
colors.
see. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. What is his name?
His name's Aaron.
Iron?
Aaron.
Iron.
Yeah.
A-R-O-N.
Aaron. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, good job, guys.
I can write the name on the picture.
Oh, cool.
You put the name on there. Good job. Well, we're not quite finished. You can put some leaves on if you want to, and some vines. I'm going to go ahead and show that. But thank you guys for showing your work.
Thank you.
You've got a net too. That's good. You can catch the moon.
moon right now looks really red if you look outside.
Right now,
Right now, yeah. If you
the
look
pumpkin or
outside.
the moon is red. I can't see it quite from here. Does it look like a giant pumpkin?
Oh my lord! It's like full on blood moon. It's
That's
crazy.
pretty- Yeah, I know it's with the fires. I don't know. Is everybody here from or the like United States, Western? I think. Yeah, I think so. I'm not sure, but yeah, the moon and the sun have been very orange lately. All right. I'm going to move on and I'm going to mix some green and see what happens because I want to put some green leaves on here. So I'm gonna try, on my canvas, I've got some yellow and some blue that are still wet. I'm gonna try mixing these two together to see what kind of a green color I get before I actually take green out of the bottle. I might end up doing that, but just for a color mixing lesson, the dominant color here is blue for sure. Okay, so there's a good little chunk of blue, but I'm gonna put a lot more yellow in that blue. And with some mixing, we're going to get a green. Okay, so when I get kind of a green color going, I get a smidge more blue. When I get a good green going here, then I'm going to add some white. Some white. Oops. I don't really want orange in there. Just want the white. So it makes a little bit of a brighter green when you get that white in there. So I'm going to just try putting on, I think what I will do is probably do my little vines first, I think. I'm just going to get that. Cute little whimsical. I'm going to come back over this. I'm going to put a nice leaf here. Okay, so I'll come back over that, but I'm just roughly putting down my my vines and my leaves. And if you notice, when I'm going over this, I'm going over the moon, which might feel a little bit weird, but it's okay because it's going to give you more depth in your painting. If you're having trouble with the color showing through, you can add a little bit of white. Okay, so I kind of like those two. I like that going like that. I think I want to make another vine going off that way. Going off the edge. Leaf from here. But 1, 2, 3, 4. I always like to have an odd number in my painting. It just, I don't know why. It just, that's my thing. I like to do that. Visually pleasing to me, and it's not even. All right. And then I think what I'm going to do is take a smaller brush and just put a little bit of a vine coming off. And a little loop-de-loo here. Another one here. Okay. And I'm just going to kind of spend some time with a more detailed brush and making sure that I've got my vines and my leaves set down nicely. And I'll probably end up putting another shade of green in with this as well, just to get a little bit more depth. But I like using, you know, by using the blue that we put in the canvas and then mixing it with the yellow that we put in the canvas, we're using those actual ingredients that we used originally and we're merging them to make the green, but that makes our eyes really happy. It's more inclusive for the painting. So this is a good way to kind of get your green going, and then we can just add another green to it to give it some interest. But by mixing colors that are on your palette, it brings some happiness and cohesiveness to your canvas. adding a little bit of white into the green here for some highlight. I'm kind of mixing the paint on the canvas here, so bring a little bit of yellow. I'll just have fun with that. This up in the center. When you get to this stage of your painting, and I know not all of you are here yet, but when you get to this stage, it's very much like you're on your own kind of at this point, right? Because you're just doctoring up everything that you've put down here. You're just putting down your final touches and adding little bits and fine tuning here, you know, cleaning up edges maybe. I'm gonna put a little bit of brown into my stem here and there. So whatever you are feeling might be needed, this is kind of the fine tuning stage. And when we're in that fine tuning stage, a lot of what we're doing is adding final little highlights or bits of white here or black edges here, defining, straightening up edges, putting the final little touches on. And if anybody has questions about what that even means, then just speak up and we'll talk about it. Right in there. I'm going to make this this vine right here kind of pop from the stem, so I'm adding a bit of white right there. Reshape your final shaping on your stem. And depending on where you are, like I said, for those of you who are live here this evening, this recording is going to be out tomorrow, so you don't have to finish tonight. You can take a break and come back to it tomorrow and finish up then. So, you know, painting is an ongoing thing, sometimes many more layers than you would ever expect. I just finished a painting yesterday that has 22 layers in one painting. It took me 22 days. I did a layer a day. And I'm actually not even sure if it's 100% done. It might not be done yet, but no, that's just a really good example of being patient and not allowing your expectations to take over, and just going layer by layer. So if you have to finish tomorrow or the next day, it's all good. So please don't feel rushed. At this stage, I'm adding just a little bit of a black outline to my pumpkin. Just gives it a little bit more definition. And using a somewhat small round brush. I'm going to define these little lines a little bit more. I'm going to put a little bit more shading down here at the base of the stem because this is sort of like the nooks and the crannies. Some things might be a little bit more dark.
Karen, I can't see you on the screen now.
Oh, is it because I'm not talking?
No, it came back on now. It was black. It
Yeah,
went
it's
to,
probably, it could have been because nobody's voice was going. It sometimes gets confused, like the Zoom gods need to have somebody's voice going to have the right camera on them. And then if we get quiet, it does wacky things.
excellent. Okay, thank you.
So thank you for telling me, because I would have no clue. I'm not seeing what you guys are seeing on my end. So thank you for saying something. I'm glad you're here, Sherry, and hello to Lionel. Shout out.
Karen, what are you doing in the bed?
I am painting a pumpkin under the full moon, and I'm so happy that you're here, Lionel,
Why?
because I like you. You're my friend.
That's a bullshit. Karen.
Yeah. Oh, Sherry's got a quick finger on that one. Lionel's my good friend. He's a smart man. Now, if you guys wanted at this stage to put a witch on a broom going across your moon, that might be something you could do on this painting or a future painting. For those cat lovers out there, you might want to paint the same thing we've done here, but you could place your pumpkin right in front of the moon and then put a little kitty cat sitting on top of the pumpkin, so his silhouette is highlighted in the moon. You can paint, like you could take this kind of painting actually and put letters over it and say, or just in the moon say, happy fall, and put it out on your front porch. Maybe you could turn this into a sign. It could be something seasonal that you bring out every year. So there are so many different ways that you can, you know, get some really neat art from painting a pumpkin. Oh, I never took that other green out of the bottle. Let me do that because I wanted to. Let's see. All right, so I got some green. What is this green? This is called pale green. It's much more vibrant than the other green I was using, so I'll show you. You can see this is the green I've been working with, a little bit more muddy, the one I created, and this is going to be the new green I'm going to bring in. And just here and there, I'm going to put it where I feel like I want it. I'm going to use a really small brush for this, I think. This is just like a lighter, tiny little detailed brush. I'm just going to use this to sort of drag some of that brighter green here and there. Just to give it a little bit of a pop. You know what? It's painting under the full moon. We should paint your face a little bit if you want to. You got that this canvas because the moon is full. You can howl at the moon. I always like to do fun painting on my face just to connect me, my ancestors. And because why wouldn't I? It's super fun. And if that's not how you roll, that's okay. Wow, 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 wow. All right. Feels good. Paint your face if it calls to you. I just realized I forgot to put our stars in. I'm going to do that. We're going backwards here, but that's okay. That's kind of how things go. If you want to put some little stars in, I'm just going to show you this technique. We would have done this typically before we started the orange. So we're going very backwards, but okay, I'm going to take a stippling brush. You can take an old toothbrush. We're going to just take a little bit of white paint that's watered down a little bit. So I've got my little chunk of white right here in the corner. Just a little bit of water into it. We've got some nice watered down white paint right here. And then what I'm going to do is dip either your toothbrush or you dip your stippling brush into that watered down paint. Just kind of dab, 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 dab. Until you get a brush that looks kind of like that. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is just use, okay, since this is really not the best example, but since I already painted the pumpkin, I'm just going to use my thumb and take it and then bring my thumb through to get little like little stars basically. So this would have been so much easier if I had done this before, but you do have a little bit of control. So with your aim, you can, with your aim, you can kind of make sure that your stars are going out into outer space. I'll bring this up closer for you guys to see. But it makes it kind of look a little bit whimsical. You see that? Hopefully you can. Yeah, so I did a pretty good job of not hitting my pumpkin with the stars. So the reason that we would have done these stars first before our pumpkin is because if we're looking out there and looking at our pumpkin, the stars are not in front of the pumpkin. The stars are behind the pumpkin. So throughout this lesson, we've gone from the background forward. Okay. And that's just kind of a, with anything that you're painting, that's just a good little tip to go from the farthest away point, the farthest point, and come forward to the closest point. For those of you who've been drumming this evening as we've been painting, I hope that that has been enjoyable for you. That's kind of a nice way to honor Grandmother Moon. And this is a time to try different things, right? Because we need to get creative in how we celebrate and how we come together.
Hi, Karen.
Yes?
Iris would like to share again.
Yes, let me see. What do you have going on? Oh, that's so pretty.
Are we gonna put a gem on the moon?
Oh, you want to put a heart on the moon?
It's a heart gem.
Oh, yes. Well, why not? I think that would be beautiful. Did you do that already? Good idea. You did some really nice work there. Would anybody else like to share their work so far? Or ask any questions if you're wondering about anything? Share your face if you've painted it.
Here's Joni's.
Look at Joni. Oh, I like your pumpkin. Oh, look at the clouds going across your moon. Spooky. I like it. Like it, like it, like it. Good job. Anybody else want to share? Donna. Hi, Donna. Look at you. Oh, she's got two pumpkins going on. So what's the story with your two pumpkins? Is it mama and a baby? That's beautiful. Who else wants to share? No pressure.
Hey, Mom, we're gonna share.
Okay, hang on. Angela's going next. Oh my gosh, Angela. Okay.
Bro.
Can you, Angela, can you unmute yourself and just say hey so that we highlight you for the recording here? I want to make sure when you've got your-
Hi, can you hear? Oh, wait, wrong one. Sorry. Hold on. Okay. Me.
Bro.
Hey, Haley, can you mute yourself for 1 second, okay? Oh, Angela's muted still. See if I can help you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, because I can't hear you guys. Good enough.
Yeah,
Fun.
beautiful, 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 beautiful. Thank you for sharing. That was really pretty. Okay, Haley.
All right, here we are. So this is mine.
Yay, it's so pretty. Look at your leaves.
Thanks.
Yes. Okay, next up. And now you have to say your name so we can see you.
It's Kat. Hello, I'm kind of tall. It's awkward.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. Okay, next up, say your name and show your pumpkin.
This is Jacob's pumpkin. It's
It's a beautiful husky pumpkin. I like it.
yes.
I love that. Hello. This is Maddie's painting.
Oh, it's beautiful. Let me see the moon. Wait, is that Jack on there?
Yeah, I saw the leaves as snakes instead, so.
Love, love, love. Love. Thanks, guys. Who wants to share next? If anybody wants to share, just unmute yourself. See somebody's, let's see. I don't know this person. All right. So yeah, just feel free to unmute yourself and say hey if you want to share. And then if you are at a stage where you're having some questions or need any advice, just let me know. But as you can see, everybody's pumpkins are looking great.
I messed up.
No, let me see.
I ruined it with the stars.
Where did you ruin it? Where are you?
It's worse in person, but it covers up like 1/8 of the sky.
Well,
and
then just
lodges.
Yeah, just clean up your sky. And you know, it's all good. You're just a little bit more playing if you feel like, you know, you put something down and if you put something down and you don't like it so much, then just paint over it. That's the beauty of paint.
You want to show
It
yours?
looks great though.
Sure. And now my dad will show his.
Okay.
How's that?
Ta-da!
Oh my goodness, that looks really good.
I can't see it.
Oh, wait a minute. How about now? Can you see it now?
Ooh.
Why does it keep flipping to you?
Yeah, that looks really great. Iris was wondering why I painted my face like a kitten, and I didn't even know it looks like a kitten, but it does. Meow. I painted my face because I like to paint my face
I don't see
when
me
I
on
want to. I guess I like to paint it under a full moon, so that whenever it's full moon time, I like to paint my face to celebrate that. And just because it's fun, I like to do fun things like that. Silly things. It makes me happy. So I encourage you to try to do the same, because you can just wash it off in a few minutes. If you don't like it, it's all good. Raquel, where are you at so far with your painting?
for my flicker brush though. I have a
Yeah.
brush that's made for flicking, and I'm looking for it.
Sorry about messing up on the order of the stars, guys, but I guess that's a good lesson, right? That things don't always go in the order that you plan them to, and that you can get creative and come up with other ways. And if you don't want to put stars in, you don't have to. But so you're at that place. Good. So we'll share with when you're done with them. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of touch up the rest of my painting. It's pretty much done. I'm just going to kind of add some little highlights and lowlights here and there, but this is pretty much the painting. And again, having these edges painted, I'll finish up these edges. That's a good place to start. It does give you some nice, kind of something whimsical to look at when it's all finished. But if you don't like the look of the finished edges, then leave them white. It's all good. Okay, forgot the bottom edge. All right. You see how that makes it just look a lot more finished, right? And kind of gives that neat look of the painting, sort of going off the edge a little bit. Check here. All right, so it is 8:47. We've got about another 10-15 minutes here. I'm going to just kind of use blacks and whites and find, just fix little blips here and there that I think need some tuning up. And after that, I'll put my initials down on the bottom and it'll be finished. I have that song, Harvest Moon, stuck in my head because it's the harvest moon, but I love that song so much. It's so pretty. When we're done with this class, maybe everybody try to take a minute to go outside and look at the moon from wherever you are. Just say thanks. Just putting little bits of white here and there, wherever, anything that's kind of facing the moon, I'm putting a little bit of white. Got that moon glow. Ooh, that's another good song, Moon Glow. I like all those old songs.
Erin, I can show you mine now. I'm not totally done, but
that's okay. Oh, Raquel, that's beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Good job. Hold it up a little higher. There you go. That's Raquel's style. I like it. Another one that's got your signature style on it. Isn't it neat, you guys, to see all the different, everybody's looks different. And it's just because we all have different styles. Different but similar, just like us as people. A little bit of a dark outline here just to clean it up the edge. I am liking my happy little pumpkin. So you guys, if you're ever wanting to do something, you know, it's like, I'm bored. I want to do something creative. I don't know what to do. Just paint a pumpkin. Where's my book at? Oh yeah. The other night I was doodling, just getting ready for familiarizing myself with a pumpkin, and I had, I mean, you could paint this just like a pumpkin patch. I just had fun painting or just drawing pumpkin after pumpkin after pumpkin. So you just start with one pumpkin, and then you can just start lump them together, and you make this big pumpkin patch family. And it's just really relaxing. It's an easy, kind of therapeutic shape. Right here on this outer edge, I just mixed a little bit of black and the blue together. Just kind of like that. So let's see, October 16th, we're going to do the bumblebees, the honeybees. And then I'm still planning, trying to fix this up here. I'm still planning to do another couple lessons coming up, but I still have to decide what I'm going to do. So anybody, if you have any requests, just let me know. And we can paint that. You can either make a request this evening or just email me or send me a message. But I am looking for ideas. A little bit of dark. These leaves are just looking a little too green, so I want to make sure I'm bringing in the dark. Sometimes our brain doesn't want us to put black or white on, something that we are, it's like what we're looking at, it's like, oh, it's looking so great. And so we don't want to mess with it. But if you just put a little bit of the black and the white, the final touches on, this certain spots, edges that need to be cleaned up or little outlines here or there. Just a little bit of black and white here and there can really make a huge difference. And it can take something, painting from looking really awesome to looking really, really extra awesome and poppy because it's got the black and the white on there. But it's not what we naturally want to do. you know, putting something dark down, or even, you know, just doing this line, crossing over a shape onto another shape can sometimes feel very intimidating. So don't worry about it, it's all good. Like I was just naturally finding myself not wanting to drag this little bit of black through these green stems. But it's actually a good thing to do. So, you know, there's some of that like learning that comes from painting and stepping into that fear, you know, doing something that you think, oh shoot, should I or shouldn't I? And then you actually do and it turns out great, you know, that's really liberating. Sometimes you do it and you're like, oh shoot, I shouldn't have done that. Like Liam said, he messed up his stars. I didn't see that he messed up his stars, but he's feeling that way. But there's also power in that because it's like, oh shoot, that didn't go the way I wanted it to, but you have the power to go back and change it and fix it. It's not the end of the world. So there's a lesson in that too. All right, I think I'm pretty happy with my moon. Be happy with my pumpkin. If I wanted, I could put a little bit of grass down here. I might do that just for teaching's sake. A little more than grass. I don't know what I'm putting in here. I'm putting something here. But what I'm doing is going over the background, over the pumpkin, and that's pleasing to our eye because it's adding more kind of structure and layering. Well, that's not my plan. It wasn't my plan to put this little guy in here, but it's all good. Bring that yellow in if you want to. And continue with everything that you do. Continue playing with and mixing the colors that are on your palette. Spreading the love. Not having just one flat color. So this is kind of like an example of, you know, adding one more layer. How I was saying that at the very, very beginning, we put down the background. And then on top of that very background of that sky, we put the moon, because that's the next thing that's closest to us. And so from the moon, what would be the next thing? The moon would be, and that would be the pumpkin. Okay, and then we have the stem coming out of the pumpkin towards us. And then just by putting this little bit of plant in front of the pumpkin, not just next to the pumpkin, but also in front of it, that shows another layer that's showing us the foreground, the part that's the closest to us. Okay. Hope that makes sense. Does that make sense to you guys? If not, we can talk it through. Cool. Cool. How you doing, Liam?
I'm doing good. I'm just adding warts to my.
Oh,
pumpkin.
yay.
Yeah.
We're going to have the ugly pumpkin.
Indeed.
Ugly pumpkin. That's the best pumpkin.
Indeed.
I love the Charlie Brown pumpkin patch movie. This time of year, it's always fun.
So I fixed my stars.
Let's see.
Well, first I just need to fix these. Well, not fix. I need to add on to these warts.
Yeah, take your time whenever you're ready to share. And anybody else that wants to share, feel free. We are getting close to the end here. Oh, 9:01. How are you doing, D'Angelo? I don't think he's hearing me. That's okay.
I'm doing kind of good slash not kind of good.
Well, you know, that's very, very, very normal. So what are you feeling good about? And what are you feeling not so good about?
I'm feeling good about that I kind of did some of it and that I don't really like mine.
Good. Well, that's very good. Now, what are you feeling not so good about?
What I'm feeling not so good about is that I don't really like mine.
So you like it, but you don't really like it?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so I have some advice if you'd like some advice. Do you want some?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that happens to me a lot. Like I'm painting, it's like, okay, I kind of like it, but I kind of don't like it. It's like, ugh. So whenever I get to that stage, I will just put the painting down, but I'll put it down in a place, like I'll put it out that I'll see it regularly. So I'll maybe put it by my fireplace in the living room, or I might put it on my kitchen counter, but someplace that I'll see it when I'm walking by. And then the next day or so, I'll look at it. I'll be like, oh, I know, all I need to do is just fix that little line, or all I need to do is put another leaf here. And it just becomes very apparent. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, problem fixed. Ta-da. So sometimes just putting it aside and letting your brain rest and walking away from the painting, you know, especially when you start to feel a little bit frustrated, it's a good time to just sort of walk away and then come back with some fresh eyes. So I'll bet you tomorrow, you're going to look at that painting and be like, oh, I know what to do. Does that help?
Yeah.
Good. Good. Will you send me a picture of your pumpkin when it's all finished?
Sure.
Oh, thanks.
Welcome.
Anybody else want to share before we log off?
I will. Just give me 30 seconds.
I can totally give you 30 seconds.
Okay, cool.
Joni, can you hold yours up real quick so we can see yours? Oh, that's beautiful. Good job. So, okay, yeah, I love those clouds. Joni's clouds are really, they say fall and rain is coming and there's witches flying in the air. That's what I think of when I see your moon. I like it.
My brother sent me a video of him singing Harvest Moon.
Oh, let's hear it.
Let's see if I can.
Just like children sleeping, we could dream this night away. so that
Careful, Susie.
Call leg.
That's beautiful. I love that song so much. It's perfect for tonight. He has a beautiful voice. You'll have to tell him he's gonna go. He's gonna be live, or he was live on Zoom without even knowing. And Liam, are you ready to share? Thought I heard your voice.
Yeah, sorry, a bee was attacking me. I am. Oh, I just need to.
Karen, when do you think we'll be doing any social distanced drumming anytime soon?
Yeah, I have some thoughts, and that's part of my event planning. I was kind of thinking I would have done it for this full moon. And I know it won't happen for next full moon because I'm not going to be here, but I do have some thoughts, and maybe it's not even going to happen on a full moon, but I do have thoughts of getting people together in a park in a giant circle or something. So something's coming. I'm just not sure what it is yet.
Yeah, sounds good. That'd be nice.
Yeah. And I'm going to start doing sessions in my backyard in a couple of weeks. So I'm putting some protocol together for that, and people will have to come through the back gate. You know, it's a little different, but you know, it'll be an improvement over Zoom. So things are coming.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right, Mr. Liam.
Thank you. Okay, so here it is.
Oh my gosh, that looks so much different than before. Look at those warts.
And the warts are a little bit different up close. Yeah.
Those are fabulous.
Ta-da! I'm proud of it. It's better than my llama. That's all I care about.
Well, I'll tell you, it's better than my llama as well. I love the warts. They're like so three-dimensional. Warts might be your thing. Maybe you need to do a toad next.
Yeah. Yeah, I did the style that I learned from YouTube video on how to do rocks. This bee just likes me so much. He's crawling all over me.
Well, he's telling you to show up on the 16th to paint him.
Is that a Wednesday?
No, that's a Friday. It's a Friday night.
Oh,
okay,
great.
what do I do if there's a bee on me?
Just don't swat it, and try to just be super, super zen, because he can feel your energy. So if you start freaking out, he's going to be like, oh, the guy's freaking out. Alert, alert. So just be like, deep breaths, give the bee gratitude, say thank you. Bee, you're wonderful. And you can even give him a little blow with your, like you're blowing out a candle, and he might just jump off of you. You can give him a slight whisk if you want to, but
really scary.
And if
you please get
your dad can give him a little flick if he needs to.
Hey.
There you go.
He's down there.
Suicide.
He's on a suicide mission.
He's on a suicide mission if he's out at night.
Yeah, you know, the bees that are out at night, you guys, they those are the ones that are getting ready to transition and die, and they get a little confused and a little aggressive sometimes. So
they also want to go away from the hive if they think they're gonna die. They don't want to be in the hive, so they just go.
From what I hear, it's also when they're out at night, they're kind of just saying, get out. If there's people out, it's kind of just saying, get out of my territory.
Yeah, but we're far enough away from the hive
That they won't attack us.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if we told you we got rid of our hive.
That's right. You do have hives. So we have 3 beekeeping families on this call at the moment. Isn't that neato?
Well, we had to get rid of them because they were getting too aggressive.
Oh, okay. Well, they're probably like, hey, we still love you. It's okay. Yeah, if they're out at night, just be careful because it is a little, they're a little bit more aggressive in the evening because they're transitioning.
Yeah, he looks like he's about to die.
Yeah.
Liam hasn't been stung yet.
That's good.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Oh, I see D'Angelo. Hi. Are you going to show us your painting? No? You're just showing us your handsome face? Hi. Were you painting too? I see Donna. Is that just, oh, can you share your painting? Thanks for showing your face, D'Angelo. Now, Donna, your daughter's name again, I know.
Oh, this is my granddaughter. Her name is Alohi.
Alohi, Alohi, Alohi.
She actually was upstairs painting, so she didn't realize I was actually on a class. I kept telling her to come back downstairs. Get her own.
Oh, beautiful. Now, who are those two people?
I know you were here.
Mom, that's my mom and me.
Oh, that's special. And is that the harvest moon?
It's a yellow moon that's outside right now.
Yes. Yes, it's a big yellow moon for sure. Good job. Did you enjoy the lesson?
Next time you actually come and join us, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's all good. Oh, D'Angelo's got his drum. Good job on the full moon. You've got your drum out. Do you want to unmute yourself and show us how your drum sounds? You can send a little bit of love to us. You always have love to share. Good job. Awesome. Thank you for that. Good vibration. All right, guys, I'm going to log off.
I have a question.
Oh, yes.
Who did the clouds?
That was Joni. Joni, you want to? Did you have a question about the clouds, Liam?
Yeah, I was wondering like how you did that.
Oh. Let's have her explain. Can you explain how you did the clouds, Joni?
I went down low, but I wanted to be sure not to go over the leaves, and then went over here, and then I just really dry brush.
What colors? Is the purples or were they?
It was the same color you did the sky with a lot of white, so it kind of went gray.
Okay, thank you. I'm gonna try that.
Good job. Awesome. All right, guys, I'm gonna log off. If you guys would like to post your paintings on Facebook or send them my way, we can get them shared, because it's always nice to get everybody's work together and posted. So if you're comfortable with that, go ahead and post it. You can go to Facebook, Shama Mama Studio on Facebook, and that's a great place to post all of your artwork, whatever it is, and just share your creativity. I was having some problems with postings on that site. I'm hoping that they're fixed at this point, but I'm sure it's all good. All right. Thank you. Hi, Gabby. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here. Tons of love to you all. Bye-bye.